All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Nikoleta. I'm an alcoholic. Uh, I'm buzzing. I'm at work. So I was just dealing with some chaos here at work. So I was just like, how am I going to talk about prayer meditation when I'm buzzing this much right now? But anyways, I'm nervous. I'm grateful to be here. Um, I love the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been falling in love with this work for 16 years that I've been around it. When I was first introduced to it, it was Japanese to me. I didn't understand it because I didn't really know how to relate to it because I had no experience with what it was saying. So I really had no reference point. But as I started to have an experience in sobriety with my sponsor taking me through the work and with my own personal experience of the work, something shifted and something opened up, and I was able to be informed by something other than my mind. And when I reflect really, prior to coming into recovery, that's how I related to life. I really never questioned my mind. I never questioned my mind. And, I'm speaking on step 11, but there's other steps we have an experience with until we get to step 11. And by the time we're at step 11, there's this like spiritual dimension that has started to kind of open up, right? There's this like an ability to be informed by something other than the mind. Just really an ability to be informed by something other than the mind. And sometimes in the program or some teachers would talk about, or sponsors or old timers, they would talk about, the journey from the head to the heart, right? Or something like that. And it sounds so great, but like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean in my actual experience? And I studied philosophy in my past life, and my thesis was proof that there is no God. And I only share that because of what I've chosen to speak on. And that today, the most important relationship for me is this relationship with a higher power. And there's a line on page 55 that I always like to talk about, just to mention, especially because we're talking about step 11. And that's that deep down within us, it is only there that he may be found. That's what it says. It is only there that he may be found. Where? Deep down within us. And it's obstructed by all kinds of fears and resentments and old ideas about life. But only there it may be found. And so for me, the journey was a journey to deepening this relationship with the depth of my own being. And with the depth of my own being, that for me is to thine own self be true. Like, which self am I true to? The depth of my being, that parallel reasoning, that sound reasoning that just kind of knows and always knew that my relationship with alcohol was not healthy, or that I wasn't honest, or that I wasn't in fear, even though I couldn't verbalize it. And it was always obstructed by these resentments and self-centered fears and stories that my mind would be selling me and rationalizing and stuff like that. But anyway, I want to read from the Big Book because it is the Big Book compendium. So step 11 starts, the instructions start on page 85, all the way on the bottom. It says, step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. And I would say daily. For me, it's a daily practice. It's not something necessarily that I practice. It's just something that just is a part of my life. It's a dialogue. It's like a never-ending dialogue. It's a never-ending presence. This relationship with prayer and meditation and a higher power. It's a never-ending. There's an attention and an intention there at all times at this point in my life. And then it says it works if we have the proper attitude. So what's the proper attitude? What is the proper attitude? It's this like heart-centered or God-centered attitude, or it's like this attitude of seeking. The attitude is I want it. I want it attitude. Like I'm curious. I'm curious to build a relationship with this unknown, to step into the unknown, to deepen my surrender. And the second condition is that I work for it. And that means I have to take some action. And because I have to take some action, and because it's easy for me to be vague about this, it's easy for me to be nonchalant about this, right? They are giving me some definite and valuable suggestions. And so the first of the suggestions is something that I get to do when I retire at night, or when my day starts diffusing, when I start decompressing from the day, the nitty-gritty of the day, the responsibilities, the people I have encountered, my job, my relationships, the duties, and all of that day-to-day stuff. And so for me, what that looks like, that there comes a point, even though there's an attention on that all day long, and something shifted as a result of the work, something shifted in me, that there's always an ability to kind of reflect, or to be in a witness consciousness of what was my day like? Where does it hurt? But like there's 10-step instructions, right? That are moment to moment to moment to moment. But this is the step 11. The first one he tells me is like, at night, what was your day like? Like, check out your day. Were you selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or afraid? But it's also where does it hurt? What is it that you won't let go of? Where are you not fully in acceptance? Where have you not really deeply surrendered? We know this. I know if I'm still arguing with somebody in my head, if I'm annoyed by something, like I can really, really personalize this in a just like, the mechanics of the big book are great, but what is it pointing me to? Where it becomes like very natural for me to live with these questions. I remember my sponsor once telling me, you're the only fish you need to catch. I'm the only fish I need to catch. I fish for me, like what's happening within me, because some of these are pointers. My body is an excellent mechanism to tell me when I'm not living in the truth. I'm not going to feel aligned. I'm not going to feel at ease. Maybe I didn't walk through my day as light as I would have liked to. Maybe there's some stories and ideas about what that day was like, or how they should behave, or something like that, that I didn't really sit with. I didn't really bring it to silence. I didn't really bring it to God. I didn't really like get vulnerable with myself. I didn't really look in the mirror and say, tell the truth with no agenda. Tell the truth to me. Why? Because I value truth more than anything. Why do I value truth? Because it sets me free. Was I kind and loving toward all? I don't think I have ever, in over 16 years, said yes. But that's my thing. that's my thing. What could I have done better? There's always room for improvement, but not destructively. Not in a way where I beat myself up. Not necessarily in a way where I create more stories for self-improvement, because this is not a self-improvement project. This is not on how I can be, a better girl and stuff like that. I just need to really, for me, this was about getting in touch with myself in a deeper way. Yeah. Did I keep something to myself? Is there something I'm rationalizing? Is there something I'm justifying? Is there some gray area that I'm like, just, it's here, but I'm like, don't look there? Do I know something that I don't want to know? Do I know something that I don't want to know? That for me is a great gauge of where I'm entering this area of something that I'm trying to manage, which is, or another way to say it, manipulate. Maybe something has entered my life. Maybe a married man is flirting with me. Maybe I don't want to tell anyone because maybe I'm enjoying it. Maybe everything about it is painful. Painful to me, painful to him, painful to his wife, let's say. Right? Maybe I don't want to tell anyone because I'm enjoying the attention I'm seeking. I need to right away nip that in the butt. I do. I need to take a look at that right away. What is it pointing it to me? I need to right away talk to my network or my sponsor or the people around me who are willing to tell me the truth or allow me to express myself in a safe way, and then check that out. Bring it to light. I need to bring that to light. Was I thinking of myself most of the time? Was I thinking of what I can do for others, what I could pack into the stream of life? Was I altruistic? Was I unconditional in the way I moved? I look at that as an energy, right? Was I in the bubble of me, right? Was I selfing, basically? Was I selfing all day long? Was I in the mini me? It's like the mini me. Was my world very small? When I'm in the world of self, my world is very small. I see that. I've experienced it. I've experienced where everything, I'm like an open wound. Everything bothers me. Everything is annoying. The weather, the traffic, my job, my apartment, the phone call I just got that I was expecting. It shouldn't have rang. The phone shouldn't have rang. Like everything is just, when I'm selfing or when I'm living my life from the neck up, my world is very small. When I'm expansive, when I'm living in a place of allowing everything to be as it is, all is welcome. It's a very expansive energy. Check it out. Those who have experienced it know what I'm talking about. And I think all of this stuff, this is definite and valuable suggestions. It's just saying, look this way. I'm pointing to something. Make it your own, personalize it. But I must be careful. This is a warning not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection. I have drifted into all three. They're not pretty. It's not pretty to drift into any of them because they all to me spell fear, 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 right? Right? And what? Fear of the future, right? When I'm worried, I'm really playing God. I'm not trusting. I don't trust life. I don't trust life. I'm not open. I'm not allowing. Your will might not mine be done is not sincerely or genuinely coming from me. It's not a mantra I live by. If I'm worrying about the future, right? It just creeps up. I want to be in charge. I want control. Lack of power is my dilemma, but I want control. Who wants control? The mind wants control. That little self wants control. Control that it can have. Control that it does not have. Because I don't trust life. For whatever reason. I don't trust. It's too vulnerable. It gets scared. It's too small. Remorse is about the past. And yet, in the 9th-step promise says, we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it, but it will creep up. A story will be sold. Some emotional memory will come up. I can only not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it if I'm completely allowing everything to be as it is. That's a deep surrender. That's a state of grace. I don't create that. I don't surrender. It's something that's given to me. It comes over me. This like okayness. The whole body responds to that. We know when we're there. And I'm only there when I'm in this moment. But when I'm in worry and remorse, I'm not present. I'm not in this moment. I'm in my head. The head cannot be in this moment. It needs a story. It's never what's happening in this moment. It's what my mind is telling me about what will happen, what should have happened, what shouldn't have happened, how it could have been, what I want, what I don't want. It's a chatterbox. It makes noise. Prayer meditation quiets that. Prayer meditation creates the pause between the thoughts. Prayer meditation creates stillness. Prayer meditation creates a dialogue where I'm not alone and I know I'm not alone. Prayer meditation is a manipulated pause. Or morbid reflection. The negativity, the egoic negativity, where I'm just like, circling the drain, right? Of beating myself up or beating you up or just, not in acceptance. And my perception is skewed also. Why? Because that diminishes my usefulness to others. Because if the world, if it's, that's the self-centered, right? Centered around me. Centered around me. And when I'm selfing, I can't really be there for you. I'm not even there for me. I'm not really there. Something else has taken over. It's like I'm under a spell. I'm under a spell. The depth and the truth of me is just not there. It doesn't impose itself the way the mind does. And then it brings me back to that place of powerlessness that I continuously experience. And that's the wisdom of the book. And that's the wisdom of what I suffer from. And that's like the wisdom we've been graced with, like I'm powerless. What does it mean to be powerless? No power, not less power, no power. I'm powerless. Such truth, it's such wisdom. And when I see these things, or I reflect on this day, or I look at some of these things, or I'm being honest about it, and I see I can't do anything about it, or I just need to see it. The seeing will make the change. The awareness will make the change. And from that awareness, I get humbled. I get humbled by the way I moved through the day. That's the natural response. The byproduct of knowing my powerlessness is humility. And that humility is what creates the dialogue. I turn my attention to that power that's deep within me, all around me. That, the power of life, universe, love, the power of truth, give it any name you need to give it, as long as it relaxes the mind. And I pose the question, what corrective measures should be taken? I send out an offering. I'm willing. I'm willing for the change. I'm willing for direction. Because when I pray and meditate, I'm really asking for direction. I'm asking to be given direction. I'm a student. Life is a teacher. All is allowed. Show me the way. I'm willing. I'm open. I'm ready. I say yes. Yes to the invitation of being alive. Yes to life. And then in the morning, I wake up and I make this relationship with that, the most important relationship. And I give my attention to that. I give my attention to that in the morning. I acknowledge and recognize that relationship. We consider our plans for the day, and before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking before we begin. That's a direction. Before I begin what? Before I begin my day. What does that look like for me? I won't even open my eyes in the morning. The dialogue will start. The first sign of consciousness. I'll speak to that. I'll speak to that. And immediately you could sense the difference. My heart is softer. It's totally different when I don't do that. Do I not do that? Absolutely. There are days I don't do that. And I'm tripping over my own legs that morning. There's a buzzing chaos. There's a feeling of unmanageability. And then what I do with the feeling of manageability, when I'm in that place, I want to manage. Manage is just a nice way to say manipulate. That's really what that is. Manipulate, another nice way to say I want to play God. Another nice way to say I want to be in control. Another nice way to say I'm really, really insecure because I really know that I'm not in control, but I'm going to just try. Just one more time. Just a little bit. Maybe this time it's going to be different because now I know better. Now I got this. But I'm human. I'm human. I'm human and divine. I give attention and I want to feed and I want to love and I want to be in a relationship with the divinity that's in me and all around me. And yet I'm an action figure called Nikoleta, female, born and raised in Serbia, and then drank for 13 years in New York City and lives in New Jersey, and I have my preferences and likes and my families and all of those things that were given to me or that I ended up with, and that's my life story, and it's the best one for me to wake up, and it couldn't be any other way. And this is like, this recovery thing is pushing me not to be in argument with any of that. I mean, my fourth step is an argument with reality. My day-to-day 10-step moment-to-moment inventory is an argument with the day-to-day reality. Reality always wins. I just don't trust. Or I don't really understand. I'm missing the mark. I'm missing the mark on what life is about and what life is. And I'm disconnected from that thing that knows that everything is okay. Always. So I ask God to direct my thinking. I ask that I'm directed by love or by truth. And it says, you know, especially as asking that I be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking, selfish motives and things like that. Nothing in it for me. This makes no sense to the mind. By the way, St. Francis' prayer makes no sense to the mind. These kinds of prayers make no sense to the mind. The mind does not do it. Yes, there was a time in my early recovery, I did it out of respect for my sponsor, and I did it out of respect for the big book, and I didn't know who I was talking to, and I didn't understand what I was doing, but I was willing because I was desperate, and I did it because I was drowning in the bottle, and I did it to save my own life, and I didn't understand what I was doing, but I trusted you guys, and I trusted my sponsor. You carried the message with the way you were, and I wanted that, and I was curious, and I was hungry for that, and I was hungry for change, but I didn't really feel the connection. Today, I understand that my mind doesn't do this, and I don't want to do it from my mind. I don't want to pray mechanically just to check off a prayer and tell you guys how I prayed this morning. I want to pray without saying a word. I want to be on my knees in my heart. That comes from a deep recognition of powerlessness and awe and amazement at the mystery of life and every moment being precious. The recognition for me that the next moment is not promised. The next moment is not promised. That praise. That's the thing that praise. Under these conditions, I move through my day. What ends up happening for me in my experience, I travel through the day lighter. I can be a free-range alcoholic. I'm a free-range chicken. And I just get like touched. I get touched and I get inspired and I get moved and I get directed and I get moments of clarity and I like tear up and I feel alive and I feel the gratitude. I feel it. I don't say I'm grateful. I don't do gratitude lists. Gratitude moves me. It's alive. It has a life of its own. It informs the next move. When all of my body is connected. It's not what I think about it, but how it feels. And allowing myself to tell the truth when I'm not feeling it and I'm not connected. And that can be a prayer in itself. From this place, the mind doesn't have as much power because I also allow that to be as it is. So I don't give it much resistance. So it can be as powerful because I just let the mind be mine, but I don't honor it as much. I just don't trust it as much. I'm just a little bit suspicious of it if it doesn't include you. If I'm making decisions in my life that I'm moving and they don't include you, I'm suspicious. Because spiritual awakening, byproduct of it, is always inclusive of you. Always. It thinks of others. It's not for me. I just get to benefit from it. Or this action figure goes through the day lighter. So it can serve, so it can, things can move through it. I just get clearer, I get emptier. And then through the day, I have an opportunity when that humanness comes up, when confusion comes up, when I'm not sure what to do, when I'm not sure which way to go. It says, I may face indecision, right? I might not be able to determine which course to take. Again, I turn to that power. Again, I turn to that power. Again, I'm continuing the dialogue with life. I'm trusting life. I'm not trusting my limited self. I'm fallible. God's not. Takes courage to not know. Mind wants to know now, wants to know the next move. The true statement is I don't know. I don't know. Just because I don't know doesn't mean there isn't a knowing. So I trust that I will know when I'm supposed to know. I trust that there isn't a know. There is a knowing, even though I don't know it. I have an honest communication with life, with the depth of my being, with my heart, with my soul. I just tell the truth, right? I tell the truth. This is what I'm experiencing. I sit with it. I bring it to silence. I relax and take it easy. It even tells me, relax. You're not in control. You don't know. Loosen up. Be here. Be here. Take a deep breath and just be here. Let something else inform you. Be informed by something other than the mind. Just pause. Just take a pause. You know, like when we look for keys, and everywhere you look for the keys that you just saw, you can't find it. And the moment you surrender and you give up, boom, keys. It's like a small little stupid example, so to speak, but like it just shows, you know, it'll come, you know, it'll come. If it's not coming, maybe it's not meant to come yet. Maybe you're not ready to hear it. Maybe you don't really want to hear it. We don't struggle. Why? Because we stop fighting anything or anyone. Dash, even alcohol. It's like a 10-step promise. I love that sentence. I stopped fighting life. I stopped fighting who I encounter. I stopped fighting myself and how I am and who I am and where I'm from. And I stopped fighting. I stopped arguing with life. We're often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. This is the practice. The practice is to trust. That's been a practice. That's been a practice for me for a very, very long time as I'm in this journey in recovery. That's where the intention and the attention has been for a very long time. And I get lost and I get detoured and I don't know and I want to know and it's time now and I've suffered long enough and I can sense when my heart's closed. I can sense when I'm just holding to some agenda or some idea or what my day or my life or any moment needs to look like. I sense when I'm resisting what's in front of me. And he talks about this like transformation of like, where the whole body is in play, right? The whole body is in play. What used to be a hunch or occasional inspiration becomes a working part of the mind. It just becomes a way of life. It's like the book at some point says common sense becomes uncommon sense. Like it just becomes a way of life, right? being still in experience and having just made conscious contact with God or with this healthier voice. It's not probable that we're going to be inspired at all times. And we might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, mind is so tricky. I mean, it will take over a spiritual awakening. It will use this book as a weapon. It will pay attention to how it feels. My body is so much more in tune with the truth than my mind will ever be. My mind will tell me all kinds of stories, even the prettiest ones, where I'm spiritually sound and centered, and I was inspired by God to do this, and blah, blah, blah. You just kind of sense. This is why silence talks about prayer and meditation. And, I had 18 months sober when my sponsor dropped me off at a 10-night silent retreat where we couldn't talk, we couldn't write, we couldn't read. And we meditated from 4 a.m. until 9 o'clock at night. And the meditations were 1 hour long. And on the third day, they told me that the meditations they're going to start for the next 7 days, 3 of those meditations a day, they advised you not to move for 1 hour. If you really want to know how powerless you are over your mind, sit. Just sit. Just sit. Nothing to do. Just be. Just sit and check out what the mind is going to make out of that. My back was killing me. My knees were giving away. The guy next to me was breathing too heavy. The girl in front of me, she must have been thought about me. She must have heard me move. She heard me move. Why am I doing this? This is boring. Why am I here? What did we have for breakfast yesterday? I hate that song. Why is that song stuck in my head? Why would anybody sit here for another? Has it been an hour? No, it's been only 20 minutes. How do I know it's been 20 minutes? I don't know. There's nothing going on. I'm sitting. I'm just sitting. I'm sitting. I'm in the virtual reality of my mind. If I'm so in charge, then why don't I just think happy thoughts? Why don't I wake up in the morning and think happy thoughts? Why do I have a song stuck in my head that I don't even like on repeat? It was very eye-opening. The 12 steps and the big book and the process of this what it's pointing to has given me these tools to sit with myself. I remember my sponsor, the day she met me, 2 days later, she told me, I want you to sit for 2 minutes. She asked me to sit for 2 minutes. Guys, 2 minutes, I was cheating at 30 seconds. 30 seconds, I was peeking to look. 30 seconds seemed like an eternity. I couldn't even sit with myself. I couldn't sit with myself. This is where I come from. This is what this work gets to give me. It's incredibly generous. It's so generous, the process and the offering and the invitation. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration, in spirit, led by the Spirit, from the Spirit. What is spirit? Is it all inclusive? Is it never exclusive? Is it fully accepting and straight? Is it loving? Is it kind? Is it caring? Is it for all of us at all times, in all places, in all moments? What is it? What is it? What's the flavor? You know the fruits of it. I don't know what's the American idiom. Like, when you plant something and then it sprouts fruits later, you'll know it by that. How do I move through life when I'm informed from this place? What does my day look like? Am I lighter? Is my day lighter? Do things seem to go smoothly and effortlessly? Am I at ease? We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that I be shown all throughout the day what my next step is to be. Would I be given whatever we need to take care of such problems or every problem, I would say. We ask especially for freedom from self-will or this egoic, mental, self-centered selfing. And I'm careful to make no requests for myself, right? Because that would be who makes the request for myself? Who? Who makes the request? The little chatty mini me? The migo? I only ask for myself if others will be helped. It has to be inclusive. It has to be loving. It has to be the spiritual heart. When the spiritual heart opens, I mean, I don't know how to love. I don't know how not to think of me. But that's not what the spiritual heart is doing. But when the spiritual heart opens, something else leads to life, right? It's almost like there's a mind dominated life and there's a spiritually dominated life. They look different. They come from the same channel, action figure, totally different results, totally different way to relate to life and to be with life, moment to moment, with each moment. And whatever I need for each moment, it just seems to be given. It just seems to be given. It's the weirdest thing. It's like everything in the truth of spirituality, it feels opposite. It's like I admit powerlessness from the depth of my being, and I am empowered. We see that. We have that experience. We have the experience. I tell the truth from the depth of my being that I will drink, that I can't stop drinking, period. I don't put blame on anyone. I don't justify it. I don't excuse it. I don't rationalize it. I tell the truth. What happens? The mind stops. Mental obsession gets removed. Over and over again, I've been listening to stories like this. And there's many in the spiritual traditions, many spiritual traditions that talk about this. We're careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. I mean, go for it. I mean, it's kind of, yeah, I don't know. You'll be disappointed. It's like this transactional relationship with God, like I remember one time calling my sponsor. I was in early recovery and I was in a sober house and I was on a payphone because I had nothing. So I was using a payphone to call my sponsor. And I was like, oh my God, today's great. It's an awesome day. I'm loving it, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, why? Is everything going your way? And I was like something downloaded. Oh, am I okay only when everything is going my way? Is there God only when I'm getting what I think I should have? Or when I'm feeling good? How about when my dad dies suddenly? How about when he suddenly dies, young, and I have to fly across the ocean to bury him within 24 hours? And there's grief, and there's sadness, and there's heartbreak. And in the midst of these feelings, there's beauty and stillness. If you told me 20 years ago that I'm capable of experiencing something like that, I wouldn't believe you. I wouldn't believe you that I would trust that, I need to work with what is in front of me, not how I would like it to be, because that argument gets me nowhere except into resentment and fear, and I need relief from that. And I'm the girl that drinks herself to death. And then it's pointing me to, hey, invite others. There's a collective consciousness. When I go to satsangs and meditation retreats, and I go to churches and synagogues and masses and all these ways that I'm attracted to how people want to communicate with higher power and God and seekers, where I become a seeker, right? And I just get into that mode and I look around. There's something to be said about the collective consciousness. When I go on meditation retreats and I'm meditating with 20 people, there's a greater stillness than sometimes when I'm home alone. Because there's a collective consciousness, like a collective consciousness of groups, right? You just feel it. You feel the buzz, you feel the strength, you feel the energy, you feel the collective consciousness. We're not alone. We can do this together and we'll attract and meet people that are doing it. And we can share this message or we can make it an attractive message. We will be attractive. I'm taking a sponsee to a meditation retreat for 3 days at the end of June. We're signed up. I didn't push it on her. She can have her own experience and she needs to have her own experience. She was open and willing. And I'm like, let's go. Want to go chanting? Yeah, let's go. You want to go, to a Easter Sunday Mass? Yeah, let's go. Whatever relaxes the mind, whatever gets me to a place to be informed by something other than the mind, whatever feeds the spirit, feeds the soul, and enlarges the heart, opens the spiritual heart, makes me feel connected, alive in this moment, present moment, where everything is enough. This is enough. Over the years, I've memorized prayers and I've done this mechanically every night and every morning. And I've worked with the 4 absolutes and I've worked with all kinds of stuff. But to tell you the truth, and I'm going to be very honest, this becomes incredibly personal journey. It becomes a personal journey. It needs to be a personal journey. It's about a connection. It's not about a check mark and telling my sponsor how I prayed and I meditated and this and that. Sometimes I need 5 days of resenting somebody to get to a place of my heart is so broken open that I'm on my knees in my heart and on my knees in my apartment, ready to pray for them and for me. Because I've betrayed myself for those 5 days of resentment, not just them. And so the whole thing is alive. The whole thing is alive. It's not like being a good girl and being a good student. It's all about intention, intent. The intent is to wake up. The intent is the truth. What am I in honor to? What am I serving? I'm serving the manipulated pause that happened in 3 seconds for me on September 14, 2006, while under the influence of alcohol, that I to this day cannot verbalize or explain. I'm serving a 3-second pause for me, my personal story. So my eyes are open, my ears are open to spiritual literature and different traditions and religions and spiritual practices and seekers and people who awaken and all of that. And that's a life of its own that can be taken. And the book is so humble. It says more will be revealed. We only know a little. It will constantly be disclosed to us, right? It's just like, it becomes alive. It becomes like, it's just like, it keeps on giving. And I've had phases and periods and seasons for things until I came to this place of recognizing that, how can I more deeply surrender through each day, day to day? And how can I pray without saying a word? I feel like it's the highest form of prayer is a silent one. Silence. All is allowed. All is allowed. I don't get to choose anything. I don't have the power. I don't know what's best for me. I don't know what I need. I don't know the next experience I need to have or that my heart needs to have. I don't know. If I don't know, what am I don't know if you need to have the pain you're having. I don't know if you needed to have that relapse. I don't know if they shouldn't be divorced. I don't know what's going to come from that loss you experienced. I feel the pain with you. I can be sad with you. I can be crying with you. My heart is broken. I feel your pain, but I don't know that I need to argue with what's happening and that I need to request anything. All is allowed. Oh my God, it's 2:50. As we go through the day, we pause. And I talked about the pause a lot. And pause is so important because I have conditioning. I have childhood conditioning, family conditioning, cultural conditioning. I move, I act, I react from fear. I like have stuff and dynamics that can move me sometimes and show up that I haven't seen in the first inventory, second inventory, third inventory, that I wasn't ready for in my third year of sobriety, fifth year of sobriety, seventh year, that I didn't realize from that first sober relationship or second sober relationship. Pause is, I don't have the words for it. I don't have the words for it. It needs our attention. Because it's sometimes in this moment of silence that the heart speaks, or I'm moved from that place of truth, that sound reasoning that's always been present. It's always been present. It's always been present. I knew when I was drinking that my relationship with booze was not healthy way before there were any consequences or anybody else pointed it out, way before. I constantly remind myself I'm no longer running the show. And I hope to everyone that they don't have to constantly remind themselves. They live from that place. Because otherwise you will be reminded. I'm constantly reminded by life when I don't live from that place. Your will, not mine, be done. The greatest prayer of the big book, my favorite prayer. My favorite prayer that says so much. It says so much. It says so much. Your will, not mine, be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done in each moment. In each moment, it's an affirmation of acceptance of what's really true, what's already present. And it's me aligning with it. Me aligning with it. And as a result of that, I become efficient and I don't tire so easily. And I'm not burning energy foolishly. And I'm given what I need to make it through the day and to make it through each moment. And just somehow it's there. And I'm packing into the stream of life. And things are moving and they're opening up. And there are synchronicities in my days or my weeks or my times. And I just get to see more or further somehow. It's just like, it's quite beautiful, actually. And yet I'm constantly reminded it's not of my own doing. I have a knowing it's not of my own. I have a knowing it's a gift. And because it's a gift, it's grace. We call it grace. That's what keeps us humble. I didn't deserve it. I didn't earn it. It's a gift. Okay. Thank you for letting me share.